are we responsible with what was, and how do we, still move forward even if things become very different?
Not like this, Mr. Filoni. Not like this. Welcome to my Geek Rant of Marvel's Kanan number 7. As you guys can probably tell from my disposition, I am disappointed by the comic, to say the least. Not based on the quality. I think it was well written and everything, but I'm very disappointed on what happened with Deepa Billaba. Now, to let you guys know, this entire review is going to be a spoiler review, so if you don't want to know anything about Kanan number 7, or if you want to read it, go ahead and read it first and then come back here, because I don't even want to do a non-spoiler review. I just got to get this off my chest. Okay, so when I first read this comic, I was actually extremely excited for it. Like I said, spoiler review. If you haven't read Shatterpoint, I'm also going to spoil that as well. There is one novel that follows Mace Windu throughout the whole novel. It's called Shatterpoint. Part of that book was about him, finding his former apprentice and bringing her back to the light side and bringing her back from out of the war. And the ending is that she falls into a coma. And in this comic book, she is coming out of a coma. So even from that point, I thought, oh yay, they're actually going to respect what came before. They're actually going to respect the expanded universe that came before it. And as they said in their videos and their press releases, they said they're going to pay respects to the Legends canon and pull from it when they could. And this seemed like the perfect opportunity for it, especially just seeing that she's in a coma. She's not just, out and about or something like that. The first we see of Deepa in this comic is her coming out of her coma, and one of the first people that she sees and even responds to is Mace Windu. So you're like, okay, they get it. Mace would be the one to see her, right away after the coma. But you do see something a little bit suspect right at the beginning. You don't see Mace acknowledging fully what happened with her before. He does ask, the droid, the doctor droid, like, hey, we see that she's physically okay. Is she mentally okay? So even for that, I was like, okay, cool. He's asking about her mental state, which is what he should be asking about if she just came from this Shatterpoint coma that she came from in the previous novel. So from that point, I was like, oh, cool. They're actually gonna, okay, they're alluding to it, which is awesome. And that's all they have to do. They can keep it super vague. You don't have to directly say that she was in a coma because she was on his home world and it just went bad. Just keep it vague. Just say, yes, she had a mental issue and she's coming out of her coma. That's fine if you don't want to directly acknowledge it. And then of all things, Mace and Yoda turn away from her and Obi-Wan, and they have a little private conversation about, privately testing her. I'm like, okay, cool. They want her to retrain her. They want to test her mental state. That all makes sense for where she came from before. Granted, Mace does say at the end of that novel that she would be tried for war crimes if she did come back out of her coma. This isn't really the case here, but I was still willing to take it because I was like, okay, at least they're keeping it vague. They're acknowledging it. And there's even a sequence where Mace Windu and Obi-Wan are retraining Deepa Billaba, and I think it's the perfect duo to train her. One, for Mace, because he was her master and he knows her probably the most deeply than anyone else in the Jedi Order, so he knows, he can kind of gauge how well she's doing, he can sense it from her. And then Obi-Wan would teach her Form 3, which is what we know she uses going forward, even from the Inquisitor and the Rebels TV series, which also makes sense because it's one of the more passive lightsaber forms to use. And it would make sense that if she just came from this chaos and stint with the dark side, that they would give her the most passive form possible for the Jedi. It just all made sense, up to this point in the comic, it all made sense, and I was super, super excited about all of it. Seriously, you can ask all the other Force Cast people. I went on Skype and totally just was oozing about it because I was so excited that they were at least alluding to Shatterpoint. But then, however, one of Kanan's best friends not best friends, but one of his friends in the Jedi Academy, pulls him aside to a side room and says that there's a rumor that, oh, she messed up at the beginning of the Clone Wars. She got a bunch of her soldiers killed and it has something to do with General Grievous. And I'm like, wait, no, stop. What are you doing? Stop. You were perfect. Why are you saying these things about Grievous and her having all her soldiers killed? That's not what happened. That's not, just keep it vague. I don't understand what the need for all of this is. I don't understand the need to rewrite the story if it does not need to be rewritten. This was a perfect opportunity to just let it be. Just let it be the way it was. If you don't want to acknowledge it directly for whatever reason, okay, I'm fine with that. Keep it vague. You were keeping it vague at the beginning of the comic, and up to that point, until you like put a specific storyline to it, it just seems so needless. And I would love to interview someone on the story group to just, I want to get what their mindset's coming from, especially when they promised us, like I said before in the press releases in that video that we got on Star Wars YouTube. They said they were going to acknowledge the Legends canon and they were going to pull from it when they can. This seemed like a perfect opportunity to mine from there, just like it was a perfect opportunity in Dark Disciple to mine from the Quinlan Voss Asajj Ventress storyline. They don't do it, and I just don't get it, and it's so disappointing, because this story could have been such a good representation of them paying homage to the Legends canon. And I don't think it's not worth it just to have Deepa in a coma. There was a lot more to her being in that coma than just the coma itself. That's not what we would want to, or personally, sorry, I shouldn't speak for everybody else. I speak for myself. That's not what I would want to see. That wasn't what Deepa's story was about. It wasn't about her being in a coma. It was about her having a stint with the dark side. This huge disagreement she had with the way Jedi were doing things and what she thought the Jedi had to be to continue in the war. And for all that just be washed away in like this storyline about Grievous and her just not being a very good general, I think it's a way weaker story, I think personally, and it just doesn't fit with what we had before, and there's absolutely no reason for it to be overwritten. Now I do get that you might want to make a new storyline, because yes, at the end of that novel she was going to be tried for war crimes, so maybe you want to do something else to subvert that, so you don't have to say that, oh shoot, we have to like get around the part of her having to be forgiven and all that kind of stuff, and that's fine. That's why I said just keep it vague. But why does it have to be like Grievous? Why? Personally, if I was on the story group, this is how I would handle it. I would just I would keep it all in line. I'll keep it vague. Sure, we don't want to directly align ourselves with that novel, whatever. But we still have that whole storyline about her having to be retrained. We still have her mental issues, and it's perfect that she gets training from a Sarisu specialist, a Form 3 specialist, which is like the most passive form ever. You have Mace Windu there, which, as he should be the first person who wants to have, you should have a private conversation with her and Mace, at least just talking about their past or anything like that. It doesn't even have to be about Shatterpoint, just in general. But that relationship is pretty important. They have a master apprentice relationship. Continue that. Like, that's something very special. And it was very special in that novel as well. That's one of the most special things about that novel, was their relationship. But I'm really starting to rant right now. This is something, it's so personal to me. Like, that novel was so personal to me. This whole thing that happened was really bad. But yeah, if I was on the story group, that's how I would have done it. Like, just straight up kept it vague, did everything like it did in the comic, but don't rewrite the history of Deepa's past. Like that, ugh. Okay, rant over. Let me actually review the comic. This is about Kanan, after all. Speaking of which, the original artist is back. So when I was kind of afraid of the new artwork that was in the previous comic, I think that was just for the epilogue, for the finale of the last arc. Now we have this new arc, which is the Bloodline arc, and we have our artist back, or I don't know what the guy's name is, but it's definitely the same artist, because it looks awesome, like it did before in all the other 5 comics before the 6th comic, and I love that about it. The art's still good. The writing is even still good. Like, the comic itself is a really good comic. I just didn't like what they did with one of the specific characters, which I already ranted about, so I'm not going to talk about that anymore. My favorite scenes were with Caleb and Deepa. Like, I think their relationship is really nice, especially for her to kind of come out of her coma because Kanan was there, or Caleb, I'm sorry. I think that was really kind of cool that they have this connection, and that, by the will of the Force, or something like that, they are now coming together. And then they had another private conversation at the end of the comic, which I thought was pretty nice. Everyone kind of finds him annoying except for Deepa, who kind of finds the jokes kind of amusing, and she kind of just, she likes the kid, even in the New Dawn, the prologue, where you get kind of an indication of that. You even see that as well. And I like that they have this really personal relationship, and I like that they are connecting. Even though they're not officially master apprentice yet, they already have this bond that's really merging, and I think it's nice. And I think that even can play into Deepa's rehabilitation. I've always said that Obi-Wan taking Anakin as an apprentice was more a lesson for him, or more of a growth for him than it was for Anakin himself. Because if you really think about it, or if you read any of the Jedi Apprentice books, or knew about Obi-Wan before The Phantom Menace, and even in The Phantom Menace itself, he's a pretty much a hothead, and he kind of had to straighten himself up to train Anakin, who was way more a hothead than he was, and it really made Obi-Wan into the great Jedi that he needed to be. And now we have, you know, Caleb, who kind of needs to be disciplined, and we have, you know, Deepa, who kind of needs to be rehabilitated, and to have, like, you know, this kind of carefree guy, young Padawan, would help her, like, love life again. Especially, again, like I'm saying, like, they just kept what it was before. It would even be a more compelling story now. She kind of lost faith in life in a way when she went through that ordeal at the beginning of the war, and now she could find love again through, you know, this guy this young Padawan who just loves life. And I think that could have been an awesome storyline that just got neglected because, you know, whatever, who cares about Legends? But like I said, I do enjoy the comics on the foundation of its own merits without, you know, bringing any kind of baggage to it that I do to the story. But this is my personal opinion, so I have to give my personal opinion to the piece. But that's it. I enjoy it. You guys should read it. Just disappointed on what they did with Deepa Billaba. But of course, peace, love, and may the Force be with you. Always. What I've seen in a lot of debates is that people, including myself, either lowball Mace or lowball Sidious to achieve their point. Throw a grenade at him. Alright, now critical strike. Oh, I killed him. Oh no, I didn't mean to throw two! Oh, that's such a waste. Such a waste.